And first of all, we'd like to ask you to introduce yourself, to say some words about yourself. Of course, everybody knows you, but just once more to remind.
Well, originally I was fully trained in Sweden. I'm a Swedish urologist and chairman and professor in Lund University in southern Sweden. It's one of the oldest universities in the Nordic countries. Interestingly, when I went to high school, I had Russian as my first foreign language, so я говорю по-русски очень хорошо. So it means that I have always admired Russia, poetry, music, ballets, and so forth. And you know very well I've been to Moscow and St. Petersburg and many other cities across Russia, Rostov-on-Don, for instance, and so forth, since many years.
Okay, and we'd like you to name some numbers about EU and about the Congress, how many participants, how many members, how many countries. You said it in the welcome ceremony, but could you repeat some numbers, please?
I joined the EU as an adjunct secretary in 2004. At that time we had 4,500 members in total. Now, 2013, we have almost 17,000 members around the world. What this is mainly increasing now is not only members coming from Europe, but also from Latin America. We had a meeting recently here with COW, the umbrella organization of all Latin American countries. Yesterday we have a meeting with a huge Chinese delegation, so we have a lot of members now in China especially, South Korea and Japan. Historically, until very recently, they had a very tight bond, especially Japan and South Korea, with the United States of America. It was the same with Latin America, Mexico, and of course Brazil, etc., etc. And now they are approaching more and more Europe, because they have, for instance, Latin America, traditionally more European culture rather than American culture in their countries. Tight bonds with Spain, of course, and Portugal, etc., etc. So it means, as we are now increasing in terms of numbers of not only members, international members, here in Milan, we have close to 14,000 attendees, and they are actually coming from all over the world. And what is now steadily increasing is the number of international members. In other words, from Middle East, from Asia, from Latin America.
And also, I have a question regarding, you have a lot of members for EU, and how do this ordinary member influence the development of EU? How do they participate? Is it important for faculty, the needs of ordinary members? And how does the faculty knows, or what does ordinary members need?
No, I think as we're using not only our journal and our newspaper, European Urology Today, to really deliver the message what we can offer in terms of a package: education, science, fellowship, ongoing research activities, and so forth. We are more and more into social media, we call it. It means websites. It means that we're using more and more Twitters and online information every day on our website. And also when it comes to different countries across Europe, because not all urologists are fluent in English, that's our official language, we are translating more and more information to different languages across Europe, including Russian.
And for example, if members have some ideas, some proposition for EU, for new ideas, how can they present the ideas to the faculty, to the executive committee?
You mean to the executive committee or?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting thing is what we created more than 3 years ago is a young urologist office, because we are now more and more approaching residents already, being training, becoming a urologist and young urologist. So they will already, when they are residents, being members of EAU. So we were successful in order to do that with Germany, with France, with Spain, and now also we are in a process with the United Kingdom. Historically, until very recently, they were mainly focused on their own national organization, okay? But Europe is shrinking like this, and we have 500 million people in Europe. So I think when it comes to urology in general, all the new generation of urologists are more and more fluent in English. It means that they can get access to our website, they can Twitter, and then we get information from them, what kind of requests they have and what they really want in terms of education in the future, and also access to all other ongoing business under the umbrella of EAU as an organization.
I think it's a great idea regarding the Young Urologist Office, because myself, I have applied for membership in a Young Urologist Office, because now I work in YESRU, European Society of Residents in Urology. And EU is a really huge and a very well organized organization, very stable. And is it going to stay this way, or is it going to change? And how do you see the perspective of the development of EU? What are really new trends in developing?
I already mentioned that social media is going to be more and more important. To ship out, for instance, our leading journal, European Urology, as a paper version, that's going to be history in 1 to 2 years from now. Everybody wants it online. So then if I want to print an article or anything in that journal, they can use their computer and a printer, that's it. So it's going to be also very cheaper, much cheaper, yes, for any subscriber, any member of EU, actually, to have it online. So they can get access every day, 24 hours a day, to our guidelines, all the education programs, our journal, everything what we can deliver as a package, online.
So it's one of the new trends for development of the EU.
Definitely, definitely. And also, when it comes to another cornerstone of our organization is our guidelines, because they are now translated to 42 languages. And we are also now in the process of finalizing patient leaflets. It means information about kidney stones, about prostate cancer, all the urological diseases. And they are also going to be translated to all the languages we have across Europe. So it means that they can be downloaded by the Russian Urology Association, by any institution like your institution in Moscow, and then delivered to all the patients coming in. So it's going to be very transparent in that respect. So this is the future, and the future is already here, actually.
And does EU provide its own scientific research, or just present the scientific work done by different working groups? Does it fund and support scientific research itself?
Yes, we do. We have discussed that since many years, and now we have not only a scholarship program available for all young urologists who want to do a fellowship, for instance, for training, just as an example, laparoscopy, but also if you want to do basic and translation research, spend some time in a recognized laboratory facility, okay, to do research on cancer or any other type of super specialities in terms of urology. So we're going to support, as we delivered here already in Milan, grants for young urologists who want to do more research. And that's going to be official on our website. They can apply. And then, for instance, from your country, I have already had 2 from Russia in my department doing research for 2 years. And in the end, finalizing their PhD exam.
Great. And it's for us, it's very interesting. How do you find the one language with national urology society? Because it seems then when EU is created, it takes some power and some influence from national urological society.
Yes.
Is there some contradictions now, or have divided some things with national association? How is it with National Urological Association?
No, I don't think there is any conflict or contradiction having a very well organized national organizations like now, for instance, in France, in Germany. They were in the beginning somewhat reluctant to be closer to EU because it was, for some urologists in Germany, for instance, a little bit of a threat that we are taking over. Now we had a meeting here with the Western societies like the UK, with the French society, with the Spanish society, the Italian society. And now we have a joint effort because we have so much in common. For instance, when it comes to new treatment options like medical therapy for prostate cancer, there are so many new pills and drugs on the market. We have something really in common to protect that these new treatment modalities under the umbrella of EU and urologists. Rather than medical oncologists, okay? So it brings us together, honestly. So it means also not only the young urologists are members of the EU now, but also more and more of these coming from all the major countries across Europe, but also, of course, from smaller countries like my own of Sweden. Almost all of them are members of the EU because there are so much we can deliver to them in terms of education and other types of information. So I don't see at present time any conflicts with any national society in Europe.
Okay, and so moving from national society, we'd like to ask some question about Russian.
Yes.
I think as a general secretary, how do you say, does EU need more interaction with Russian urologists? I know there are a lot of EU members from Russia.
Yes.
But how do you think, do they need for more integration, for more membership, or which ways is it should be done? Is it going to be initiative from EU, or is our Russian urologist initiative should be to participate more in EU activities?
No, this is a wonderful question. I love it because we have a huge delegation here from Russia. We're going to meet in Milan and representing St. Petersburg, Moscow, Rostov-on-Don, and some other leading centers in your country. Okay, it means, as you now have a new president, Professor Aleyev.
Yeah.
And in our board we have Professor Igor Koneyev, who has been very instrumental to organize this meeting. I think it's going to be a gate opener for EAU to come into Russia and vice versa, because we have more and more members from Russia actually being members of EAU now. And especially when it comes to young urologists, we are very keen to bring them in. As I said earlier, the official language is English, but whenever there is an unmet need to translate to Russian, we will do that. In terms of our journals guidelines, we've done that already. But in the future, and I had that discussion yesterday with Latin America, the umbrella organization COW, but the young generation are more and more into English, but the old generation are still speaking Spanish or Portuguese. So this is an example. It was the same with Spain. It was the same with Italy and France until recently, but the young generation, they want all the educational events in English. So I think that's going to happen in Russia too, in the near future. So I hope this meeting here, and I'm quite convinced it's going to happen, but Russia will be very, very much integrated to European urology, and we're going to deliver whatever Russian urologists want us to deliver in terms of education program, research programs, and so forth.
So it's our aim to ask you for what we need, and so you try to provide some help for Russian urologists.
Yes.
And as far as I know, you've been several times in Russia, and can you give some advices to Russian Urological Society or to Russian urologists? How can we improve urological care in Russia?
Mm-hmm. Interestingly, I was in Moscow a few years ago. It was, I think, 4 to 5 years ago, actually. I had a meeting with the Minister of Health of Russia. because the urological training, in my opinion, is somewhat too short in Russia.
Yes.
I think what you need to do in order to prove the overall quality of your education program in terms of urology, you have to prolong this training to become a urologist. And it doesn't necessarily mean 8 to 10 years, but in most European countries nowadays it's between 5 and 6 years. And even after that period of time, you're not fully trained. So you see, I think this is one of the issues we're going to discuss here during this meeting with the Russian delegation, actually. Education, training, in order to become a urologist, and then, of course, post-resident training, fellowships that we can provide because we have a full-scale scholarship program, but any member can apply it and get. And I mentioned earlier basic translation research, but also clinical fellowship to be properly trained to perform laparoscopy, for instance, endourology to treat stones, and so forth. So I think we're going to present that package, but I have so many friends in Russia, you know, both in St. Petersburg and Moscow, Rostov-on-Don, Professor Kugan, Professor Oleg Apolikin, I know Professor Dmitry Pushkar and Igor Koneyev and so forth. So I think they know all about this right now, but we have to unify it and then communicate on a regular basis with the Russian Urological Association to bring that forward.
Do you think the Russian Urological Association should be more organized, better structured?
Well, I have to say, we were not that good organized 10 years ago, but we have learned our lesson. So I think they can, based on our own experience, to be very well structured, have a very strong central office with dedicated, well-trained people, as we have now 70 full employees in our central office of EAU in Holland, in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. It means that you need that kind of expertise, IT people, experts in terms of communication, and so forth, and that's the way to move forward. And I think as we have learned that lesson, we can bring that information to the Russian Urological Association as well, as we did with the other European organizations, national organizations.
We should change a little bit our urological society to make it more structured. Then I think we have no time more. I would like to thank you for the interview, for this possibility, and to present to Russian urologists some information. I think it will be really interesting for Russian urologists. So thank you very much for your time. Take time.
No.
Thank you.
Спасибо большое.